Hello everyone. Before we start new video, please don't forget to like and subscribe by pressing the red subscribe button below. Also, don't forget to press the bell icon so that you are notified when I upload a new video. Chapter number 2, Khushi. 3 weeks later, I was in my office just like on any other weekday. I was checking out the photos that MP had shot of us all during the reunion trip. He emailed them to us, and while I was looking at them in my Yahoo, I was noticed an ad flashing in the top left corner. It was an ad for a matrimonial site, Shadi.com, with a beautiful girl smiling and looking for her perfect match. Recalling our reunion discussion, I clicked the hyperlink on this ad, which took me to the website. With the default filters enabled, I clicked the search button, and in no time, I was on the result page with many feminine pics. Wow! Some among them were damn pretty, and I wanted to check them all out. But before I could visit the sixth one, I was promoted to register at the website, without which I couldn't browse through more profiles. The trailer was over, and to watch the whole movie, you had to register yourself. I didn't have much work that day, so I thought I would register myself and create my profile on the site. This is what I kept saying to Happy, Amardeep, and MP. Whereas it was actually the other way round. Those pretty faces on the result page forced me to make time in my hectic schedule, which involved project delivery to a client the very next day. Someone rightly said three things: wealth, woman, and I always forget the third one. Can make anything happen in this world. So finally, my profile was on the website. I uploaded a nice photograph and unchecked any checkbox which asked to hide my whereabouts from girls who might be searching for me. I did not forget to mention my professional trips to US and Europe either. After an hour or so, I was all set to check out those pretty faces again. I set my filters to check all the Punjabi girls on the website and hit the search button. The results page display some 3-digit number, the total number of profiles that matched my search criteria. This was exciting, but I could only check out some 50 of them before my eyes grew tired. Still, among those 50 or so, there were a few with whom I wanted to contact. But before I could do so, there came a heartbreaking moment. To talk to those pretty faces, I had to make a payment to site. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Damn. The only cost-free part was a way to express my interest in them by clicking a button on their respective pages. This would send a message from me to their inbox. But even if they gave me an affirmation to interact, I still wouldn't get their emails ID unless I made the payment. I checked the amount they were asking for. $3,000 for the yearly plan. No way, I said to myself. Then I thought, I will only pay up if I happen to get good affirmative responses from those beauties. Till then, whenever I felt like it, I could ping any girl on the website to show my interest in her profile. This was the beginning of my experience with Shadi.com. At the cost of my project delivery, which I almost screwed up. Apart from Happy, Amardeep, and MP, nobody else knew about my profile on the site, not even my parents. Because telling them that I was thinking of getting married means stirring the hornet's nest. The moment they found out, they would bring inputs from their acquaintances all over the planet. And Jesus, who? How I hated that. For the next few days, I got responses to my request. Every time I opened my inbox, there was this strange excitement. But most of the time, I didn't last long. The best ones had declined me. In fact, most of them had ignored me. Only a handful accepted my request, but unfortunately, they didn't appear that good. This website is good for nothing, I told myself, as if I was James Bond and all girls in the world would throw themselves at me the moment I approached them. And this is how Shadi.com went from high priority to lowest priority. Time passed by and I visited the site once in 2 or 3 weeks, clicking buttons on profile that interested me but without much expectations. Some more girls declined me. Some girls I declined. A few wanted to interact, but their education was not impressive. Some called me up on my cell. To some, I wrote a few SMS. A couple of them wanted me to move abroad, but I was not game. Some others I could not convince that India was a better place to live in. During one of my short official trips to US, I also happened to buy a yearly plan for a girl who badly wanted to talk to me. Damn, out of the out of these three things, wealth, woman, and the last one, which I always forget, that could make anything happen in this world. The second was already making me do things. The irony being that the girl whom I caught up 3,000 bucks for never got in touch. I lost all interest in that website. Then one evening, I received an SMS on my cell phone. Hi, I'm Khushi. I received your messages. On my other cell, can you please call me now? That was 20 July 2006. 18:50-19. My cell phone's inbox still shows the date and time. When I got this SMS, I was in a conference call with a client in the US. I quickly recalled the name of the profile from which I had got an acceptance the week before, along with the contact mobile number and email ID. I wrote an SMS in reply. I'm in mid of conference call. Will ring you in other than half hour. The very next minute, my cell flashed the arrival of a new message. I too have completed my conference call few minutes back. You complete yours and I can wait till then. After finishing my call, I dialed her number, but only after I had quickly browsed through her profile. Hello, said a beautiful voice from the other end. Hi, this is Raveen, and I am Khushi, she said in a pleasing and confident voice. Yep, I learned that in your SMS. Sorry, I kept you waiting, but I was in the middle of an important conference call with a client. No problem. Even I had some stuff to complete. Our conversation began formally, but in no time, it became quite relaxed and informal when we found out some amusing things. I learned that you were born in the month of February 1982. she said. Yes, 4th February. Anything specific? I wondered if I was supposed to recall something from her profile, but the only thing I remembered then was that she looked beautiful in her profile. You might have noticed that my year and month of birth are the same. Oh, yes, 22nd February. I had seen that, I said quickly, rushing to my computer and scrolling through her profile. And you were born in Faridabad? No, I was born in Kolkata. My dad was in defense services, and when I was born, he was posted in Kolkata and was staying there with the family. Really? You won't believe this, I shouted, attracting my covert's attention. What? You guess, I said, heading towards the staircase area where I could talk to her without disturbing the others. Don't tell me you were also born in. But before she could complete her sentence, I shouted again, yes. But how come? That's my mother's native place. And I don't know why we screamed and laughed at this fact. Thousands of people must have been born in the same year, the same month, and the same place, given our country's track record. But the way we reacted, there is something else we have in common, the classical music thing. I learned that you hold a degree in playing the sitar, I said. Yes, and you hold one in playing the tabla, right? Indeed. I learned to play it for 4 years. In fact, I was never interested, but my dad forced me to. Well, you know what? That's the only reason why I felt like contacting you. I'm not sure I understand, I said slowly. The hobby section in your profile said that you play the tabla, and your interest in classical music was the only thing that differentiated you from the others and made me feel like talking to you, she clarified. So that was it. A tabla makes a girl want to talk with the guy. It was impossible to understand girls, but I felt like hugging my dad and thanking him for forcing me to learn the tabla. Even I got my degree after 4 years at Prayag University, and we both are in the IT industry. She pointed out more things we had in common. Oh, yes, you work in CSC Noida, if I'm not wrong. I asked, knowing that I wasn't wrong. And how could I be when her profile was in front of me? Yes, I work with CSC. Tell me something. My friends say that Infosys people are studious and good ranker holders. Is that true? Are you expecting me to say no to that? She laughed. That was my first ever candid talk with a girl I hadn't seen yet. On that call, we touched base on various things. The latest movies we had seen, our best friends, her family, my family, our college days, music, and other areas of interest. So, is your family in Bhubaneswar too? No, my native place is very small town called Burla near Sambalpur. Mom and dad live there. My brother and I are in Bhubaneswar and we both work with Infosys. We stay in a rented flat with two other roommates and visit our parents on alternate weekends. Burla is just a night's ride from Bhubaneswar. We talked for nearly an hour. I could feel my cell phone burning my ear, and the sales battery was on its last legs. And even though I wanted to keep talking to her, I had to say, listen, my battery My battery is going to give up soon, but I hope we are going to stay in touch. Your battery? She said, laughing. I mean my phone's battery. I started laughing too. Just kidding. But I believe we will talk again. Then she added suddenly, but before you hang up, you have to say one good thing. One good thing? Now, where on earth would I find one good thing to say? But I had watched a movie the day before and thanking God I repeated a line from it. बिस्मिल का संदेश है कि लाल लोहर जाने वाली गाड़ी हम काकोरी पे लूटेंगे और उन पैसों से हथियार खरीदेंगे. Then I took a deep breath and waited, and she burst into big laugh. I still think it was a good line, but I don't know what made her laugh. Anyhow, I too joined in her laughter, so that she would not think me stupid or lacking a sense of humor. Okay, I'm hearing the final beeps from my cell. It was really nice talking to you, Khushi, but we won't be able to talk more, though I want to. Same here. I like talking to you very much. See you. Yeah, bye. Instead of bye, you should say see you. It's nicer. It means we will interact again. She said and touched my heart. Her innocence and the candid way in such she talked to me had left its mark on my mind. See you, I said before I hung up. That night, lying on my bed, I went over the conversation again and again, and I wondered, could I have been more humorous just to impress her further? Or was the call just perfect, the way it should have been? And was she thinking about the conversation too, at that very moment, sitting somewhere in her room? I don't know why, but I felt like calling her up again, and it was hard to curb that urge. But I had to control it because I did not want to mess things up right in the beginning by becoming a guy who bothers her at 11:30 in the night. No, I said to myself loudly, switch off the light and jumped into bed. Alone in my room, I was smiling, talking to nobody, and there was this different sort of feeling within me. I slept just so that the night would pass and a new day would come when I could hear her beautiful voice once again. The next day, I waited for her call, though we had not decided that she was supposed to call me. Still, I had this gut feeling that she would. By 10, in the office, I was getting restless. I wanted to hear her voice, but at the same time, I wanted her to call me up. Happy had given me this success funda in the matter of girls. Don't make them feel that you are going crazy after them. Just give some time and they will come to you. At 11, I realized that Happy was a fool, and I went ahead and SMSed her a good morning, even though it was a little late for that. But I didn't receive any reply to my SMS and began wondering who the real fool was. And that day, I was also uncertain. Should I listen to my heart or my brain? Both of them were pointing in opposite directions. My brain was telling my ego, what does she think of herself? Whereas my heart still wished to hear her voice. Call it my weakness or my effort to curb my ego. A little later, I did what my heart told me to do and I dialed her number. Hey, Hi, how are you? Khushi picked up the phone. When wishing you a good morning, the sender also expects a similar response. I'm fine. I was going to reply on the way to the office. You mean you are still at home? Yeah, actually. We work in the afternoon shift as we have to be in sync with our UK based clients. Hey, my cab's outside, she said, rushing and saying bye to her mom. I could hear the door being closed and her hi to her friends in the cab. After she got in, we resumed our talk. So, what's up? I asked her. Amidi was here this morning, she said. I remember her mentioning a couple of names during our previous calls, but I could hardly remember who was who among them. Amidi, I murmured, trying to recall the name. I have three sisters and one brother. Mishadi is the eldest and lives in Ludhiana. She has a very sweet kid, Dan, who is studying in nursery. Amidi is the second, and she too is married. She lives in Noida, an hour's drive from our place, and works in a BPO. Deepu, my brother, is 2 years younger than me and is working with MNC in Assam. They deal with oil wells and stuff. And Niru is the youngest, my sweet little sis. She told me about her siblings again, with no complaints or questions as to how I forgot about them so soon. She continued, and apart from this, mom and dad are with us. And in our family, your mom and dad, you and your younger brother, Tinku, who is also a software engineer with Infosys, and his office is in the same building as yours, except he is on the first floor and you on the second, right? And that was a silent slap to my memory. She remembered everything about my family. All I could do was say, 10 on 10, and laugh. But I laughed alone. So, I was saying, Amidi was here this morning. After completing her night shift, she came to Faridabad. She visits us once in a week or two. This call was all about her family. I came to know about two more people, Davinder Jiju, Misha Di's husband, and Pushkar, Amidi's husband. Pushkar and Amidi used to work in the same company and they happened to fall in love, which was not a good idea according to Khushi's dad. The hurdles they had to face were no different from any love story in Bollywood movies. Pushkar comes from a Hindu family, whereas Amidi belongs to a Sikh family. Pushkar is a cool with boozing and non-veg, while these things are taboo in Khushi's family. But then, as we learn from those some movies, love in the end wins all the battles. And that is what happened here as well. All the youngsters in Khushi's family successfully convinced their dad to give his approval to the marriage. In that call, Khushi also mentioned that she used to leave her office around 9:30 at night and reach her home by 11, which meant that she would be awake for quite a while and I could call her late at the night in case I felt the way I had the night before. So that was how she started calling each other, writing messages, even wishing each other good night. But in our initial calls, we never touched upon a purpose for which we had starting interacting marriage. But she initiated this one day when I forwarded her an email of my pictures with my friends in Belgium. I noticed one pic with the description, enjoying red wine in a pub, she said. Oh, yes, that was one of the happening evenings in the Belgium. So, you booze? Yeah, but very rarely. Once in 2 or 3 months, or at times six. Only on some occasions when I am with my friends and they insist I gave them company. I answered coolly. Well, I don't know how you are going to react on this, but I always wanted a life partner who abstains from this. And I ask myself, so is she saying that she is going to look for somebody else? I wasn't sure. But the one thing I was sure about was that finally we were discussing marriage. She continued, see, every person has some likes and dislikes. When we talk about marriage, it's about respecting each other's feeling. It's about trust, a few compromises, and much more. And if you are going to be my life partner, I sincerely urge you to choose a life without alcohol. She was the first among us to say, if you are going to be my life partner, and in her voice, those words sounded so different, so magical. And of course, it was the magic of those words which overrode uh, my consciousness and made me say, it's a gentleman's promise. If you are going to be my life partner, I will not booze unless you are comfortable about it. And I mean it. I didn't stop there to be continued. The reason I can do this is because alcohol is not something I'm addicted to. At the same time, I don't think it's bad to booze once in 100 days just to give company to your best friends. Even then, I have never crossed my limits and got drunk completely. Still, if this becomes a problem between me and my life partner, I will gladly abstain. And promises are meant to be kept, she reiterated. And probably she smiled too. Absolutely. The gentleman within me was still talking. But the day you get to know me completely, after 6 months, or 10, or maybe a year, or maybe more than that, then if you think that boozing is not at all a bad case with me, you will have to allow me to drink with my best friends. But again, I will never force you to say that. This was another landmark in our saga, and henceforth she felt much better talking to me, and I felt good just because she felt good. Was the second out of the three things, wealth, woman, and I still can't remember the third, that could make anything happen in this world, making me do this? I didn't know then, and I don't know now. The only thing bothering me was what would I say to Happy and MP when we sat together with red wine at our next reunion? Guys, please bear with me, and I have stopped boozing because of a promise I made to a girl whom I have only talked on the phone for a week. Yes, only for a week. Far lesser time than the years which we will have spent together. I didn't know then if that promise was good or bad for me. But what was definitely good was the trust and understanding we gained. And this was just beginning. It was a tough call. But then something within me wanted for her and for a long time, long, long time, forever.